right, call the meeting to order. Those who care to, please rise for an opening prayer to salute to our flag. Mr. Mendez, would you lead us in a word first, sir?
Our gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you for the opportunity to gather tonight. We ask that you lead and guide us throughout this meeting and be with us. It's in your Son's precious name we pray. Amen.
I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
got you.
You got pull on my chair.
I got you. Phone's down here.
I'm trying to get over here.
Good luck with that.
For the record.
For the record. Good luck with that.
Are you in my bubble? You're trying to crowd down here.
Yeah, I know. That's amazing.
Sergeant at Arms?
I'd like to open it up now to citizen participation. Anyone wishing to speak to anything not on the agenda, please step forward, state your name, sign in, and give us your best 3 minutes.
You debate.
That's what I can, that's what I'm saying. Anybody? Citizen participation closed. Mr. Wilson. You have a birthday coming up. Yes, you do, doggone it. July 3rd is Mr. Wilson's birthday, so happy birthday, Mr. Wilson.
Happy birthday, sir.
Uh-oh. You have not forgotten. Yeah, let's see, also Sonny Zajac with our our construction inspectors. Birthday is also July 10th, so wish Sonny a happy birthday if you see him out and about. I'd like to have a motion on the consent agenda.
Motion.
Second.
A motion on second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Any abstentions? Motion carries. On the financial report, Mr. O'Donnell, please give us the overview, sir.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, everyone. We're going to keep this a little brief tonight because second meeting of the month is usually about sales tax, and I trust everybody got the sales tax report. I alluded to some of this at the last meeting. Once again, we have some healthy sales tax numbers. May general sales tax, $267,255. We're 19.1% ahead of last year, year to date. Fire sales tax, $33,370, and we're ahead roughly 18.9% ahead of this time last year, year to date. The only number that I just got recently was motor fuel tax. That is $32,638 and change. That is roughly the same as this time last year, and we are just under 1% year to date. So we're just moving along. At least we're moving along toward reaching budget on that score. So with that, that's pretty much the story on sales tax, and I am done.
Questions, comments, discussion, Mr. O'Donnell? Anything at all? Need a motion to approve financial report?
Motion. Second.
A motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Any abstentions? Motion carries. On our reports from staff, Mr. Keeling, anything, sir?
I just want to say thanks in advance to all the city departments for their help with Have a Blast on Friday night, and for the community, where I know it's on our future community events as well. But Friday night, the 20th anniversary edition of Have a Blast, really looking forward to it. We've been planning it for 12 months a year, 12 months now since the last Have a Blast. So it's going to be great. Starts at 6 p.m., members only, the headline band, and then we're going to have our biggest fireworks show we've ever had. So come on out, J.R. Martin Park, 6 o'clock Friday night.
Perfect, thank you. Mr. Derrickson, anything? No, sir. You don't have any exciting things like that going on in the law department?
No, the fireworks every day.
Nice. On the future community events, you sure you want to read this? I seriously think we need a park person over here.
Yeah, I'm good though. This coming Thursday, June 30th, Senior Movie Day. The movie is The Suffragette. That's at 3 p.m. It's a free event. Free popcorn and coffee are provided. Once again, July 1st, this Friday, is our 20th annual Have a Blast celebration, 6 to 10:30 p.m., J.R. Martin Park. In observance of Independence Day, city offices will be closed on July 4th. That's a Monday. July 5th, 12th, and 19th is our Arthritis Foundation exercise program. That's held at 1:30 p.m. at the Republic Community Center. July the 9th is electronics collection event. That's from 9 a.m. to noon. It's the parking lot of the Republic Middle School. I'd like to thank David and Public Works for getting this thing put together. And finally, July 16th is our next event at the AMP. Activities begin at 7 o'clock, and it culminates with a movie. A movie is Up, and that movie starts at 8:45 p.m.
All right, thank you.
Real quick
Yes, sir.
question for clarification, Mr. Keeling, on the Have a Blast.
Sure.
Are the fireworks going to start at like 9:50 again this year?
9:50,
Okay.
correct.
'Cause that's been the last couple of years that people are used to the just after dark, and we go a little bit later than that. So I
Correct.
just wanted to clarify that.
Good point,
Thank you.
Board Commissions Committee schedule, Board of Adjustments, July 7th. Capital Improvements, July 29th, June 29th, that was canceled, right?
Correct.
Do you have a rescheduled date, Mr. Harder?
Yes, I do, but I don't have that with me right now.
All right, please get that to Brenda, we'll get that published, thank you. City Council meeting, July 11th and July 25th. Planning and Zoning Commission is July 18th. On a new business, I'd like to have a motion to have the first reading of Bill Number 16-10.
Motion?
Second.
A motion and a second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Any abstentions? Motion carries.
An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Republic, Missouri, approving the replat of lots 2, 3, and 4 of Brookline Business Park Phase 1 and vacating certain general utility easements thereon.
Thank you. Welcome, Mr. Tyson. Give us the overview, sir.
Sure. This ordinance will combine lots 2, 3, and 4 of the Brookline Business Park Phase 1 subdivision, and it will then further vacate the easements that straddle the property lines that are being dissolved. The purpose of the combination is so that those 3 lots can be developed as a single tract within the business park.
Thank you, sir. Questions, comments, discussion for Mr. Tyson? Anything at all? Seeing none, this is a first read. If you have questions, comments, discussion between now and the next meeting, please contact Mr. Tyson in the Planning and Development Department. Thank you, sir. On other business, Resolution 16-R-51, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Missouri approving the audit report for the fiscal year ended December 31st, 2015. I'd like to have a motion.
Motion.
Second.
A motion and a second. Welcome, Mr. O'Donnell. Give us the overview, sir.
Thank you, Mayor. As the council knows, we are required under city charter to undergo an independent audit at least once a year. Once again, Marshall Decker from the firm of Decker & DeGood CPAs conducted the audit for fiscal year ending December 31st, 2015, and we believe everyone has received a copy of the final audit report in one form or another. Once again, we received an unqualified opinion, which is the best opinion to have on the audit, the most desirable type to have, meaning that the financial statements are fairly presented in all material aspects, and the statements conform to generally accepted government accounting principles. I also would like to welcome Mr. Decker, who is with us tonight, and I'm going to turn the microphone over to him if he wishes to make a few remarks with respect to the audit process or the report itself. Well, geez. You know, this worked out great in rehearsal, let me tell you.
I'm just waiting for the page to turn to, Marshall. Just tell me where to turn. I'm there.
I did. I came in, I said, "Go Cubs." I mean,
You don't have to do that anymore.
I'll run through kind of the highlights of it, and anytime you got a question or want anything pertaining to finances, you can just far away and ask me. Page 1 and 2 are the opinion pages, and the way it's broken down is the first paragraph is what we call scope paragraph, says all statements are covered by the opinion. The second paragraph recites management responsibility, and that basically says if you don't take some steps for safeguard financial statements are good, it's a twofold exercise. You have to be in the game as well as us. And then the next 3 paragraphs says that we do the first generally accepted auditing procedures, and then you get into federal funds. There's federal standards, and they're much more stringent. They're not very humorous as the generally accepted auditing principles. Okay, they got a lot more things you have to do, but no federal grants, so just generally accepted auditing standards. And then the top, page 2, top paragraph is what we call the clean or unmodified. Now we say unmodified opinion. And that says the financial statements represent the city's position, that line items cash is cash, it's not something else. Receivables are properly stated, they're not overstated, and so forth. Now, I always tell our councils that doesn't mean you got an attaboy, because sometimes what's properly stated is bad news. Now, yours is good news, okay? But it says there are fair readings, so the bank bonding, any outside readers can have assurance that sales tax is sales tax, property tax, so on and so forth. The line items are true and accurate. And then the next paragraph, this year you had to implement what we call GASB 68. I'll show you that, I'll point out that footnote. It went from a 2-page to about a 5-page footnote. And there's some things, should I worry or should I not worry about, talk to you about that. And then the last paragraph, MD&A and some other schedules are attached with the report. It's required by generally accepted accounting principles, but since it's city's representations, we do not give an opinion. But having thoroughly looked at it, it's true, it is accurate information, you know. We will let John fill in cup tricks on us, okay? As far as the highlights, if I didn't give Cubs a hard time, what would I do to John? Make him feel wanted. Page 17 is what you would call profit and loss statement, and it's the net change for all what we call governmental funds. The water sewer is what we call proprietary funds, so it has a separate financial statement. That's the why of it. But on page 17, you got your general, street, and park. As far as the net change, we're going to go through all those lines. General fund showed an increase 565,793, street to the plus 459,661, and park to the plus 120,542. As far as the ending balance, like on general, 4,108,049. A target on that is fourth of expenditures is a good balance. Now, of that balance, 1,366,000 is unrestricted cash, 1,851,000 is restricted as to use. And some of that restricted to use, it's spelled out in those financial statements, but some of that is what you call your rainy day fund, about $600,000, just in case money, okay? So, general fund ended in a great financial position. Street, $2,091,715. Anytime you got money in the street fund, it's a good day. Okay? At $1 million a mile for new streets, that's 2 miles worth, but overlay's not that expensive, but still, you know, sometimes we'll see street funds, they're just $150,000, well, not south town this size, but sometimes it's really down to the nub. But I say 2 million is an excellent balance as far as carrying on for the future year. Park, if it has e-money at all, it's a good day. 879,246. The park fund is healthy and doing well. So each one of those, I'd say the end results was good. Page 20 is the water sewer fund. Down to the bottom there, the change in net positions was 802,495 plus, which brought to 15,765,469. Big number, a lot of that is depreciable assets, is why it's so large. But you always want to look at page 21 as far as analysis of statement of cash flow, and that really tells you as far as council, are we gaining or losing as far as cash position. And the easy way to read that, if it has brackets, it's a use of cash. If it's a positive number, it's a source of cash. And you finish the year at net cash increase 369,050, brought it up to 5,045,814. Rule of thumbs are just that. I always say, if you're building a house, rule of thumbs are dangerous. But 10% of revenue is a general rule of thumb. So that'd be 476,973, and it's 369,050. You know, that's fine. All that depends is what is your future capital outlay, replacement line stuff, what you have lined out in the future, and have sufficient cash flow. But you paid all your debt, you did some capital improvements, and still was to the plus side. That's good. Okay. Notes the financial statements. The way it's broken down. The first is called Summary of Significant Accounting Policies. That's kind of boilerplate language because if you're doing generally accepted accounting principles, it's all the same methods. But break down some of the major or material headings, and once you're through all that, The only, if I were sitting in your position, page 33 is the one I always flip to, goes on it, stewardship, compliance, and accountability. If there's a violation, it's listed there. But it's within the budget. You adopted GASB 68, which you should, and then you always show the availability of general obligation debt. That's a required footnote, but in the state of Missouri, I haven't seen a GO bond, and I don't think I'll ever will see a GO bond issued again. It's too hard to get. And then you go capital assets, then you, for all the folks who want to know how far in debt you are, that starts on page 38. It breaks down the amortization schedules in each year for 5 years, and then it aggregates it in 5-year increments. And then you go to the new one, page 45, 46, 47, 48, 49 is that new GASB standard, which before the pension, it was not, quote, in your financial statements. With this statement, you now have to incorporate that into your financial statements, profit and loss. And for Republic, because you've only been in it a few years, you had a net pension liability, and it's spread between the governmental funds and the water sewer fund, and it's $2,309,176 liability. Now, because it's new, that's why you have a high liability. If you take towns that's been in for 15 plus years, most of them have a net pension asset. They're to the plus side. So somebody, would that bother me? Not really, because I know it's new. And you have to take age, number of employees, probability of them retiring, so on and so forth, and the actuaries, who are stranger than us about numbers, they come up with a projection. And what you have funded, what you put in less, the requirements needed, sets that net pension asset or liability. And starting out within 5 years, I would expect you to have liability. So, $2.3 million, if I were you, I wouldn't be too worried about that, because as it goes, as the plan gets older, it'll start flipping, because there's plenty of time before people start retiring. Okay? But that is, and I think what generated that was a lot of your larger towns, Detroit, LA, United States of America, when you put in unfunded liabilities, it's huge, to quote Donald there. It's big, and it's always been off the balance sheet, and now with GASB 68, they have to put it on. So it gives a little bit more idea of where you might stand. Although general accepted accounting principles do not apply to the federal government, so they don't have to book it. And page 57, 58 is the two new schedules that has to be with the report because that GASB 68. And you can see on that very last page, 58, where you have like 5 years of determined contributions, actual contributions, and that schedule calls for 10. But and I can just tell from working with other towns, those have been in it for a long time, are at a net pension asset. They're to the plus side. So, all in all, it looked good. Throughout the year, I really didn't have anything as far as a management letter to send to council. You did get a fraud policy established. John, we talked about, still need to work on the bid policy. You had an old one that needs to be retooled. And a lot of things throughout the year, John calls me. Not every day, but he calls me quite a bit. So, and that's good, because a lot of things, he says, how's the best way to handle that? And with that, we eliminate criticism of things come to council and say, well, you should have been doing it this way. Well, John asked before shooting, and we staved it off bright and early a lot of times. Any questions you have?
Questions, comments, discussion from Mr. Decker or Mr. O'Donnell, either one?
I think this year John got a 30-day extension, so we'll be sending in for that CAFR award.
Good.
We dropped it last year because John coming in and
Transition.
we got that ready to roll.
Right, so with respect to CAFR, for those of you not familiar, with Certificate of Achievement in Financial Reporting, this is what the city got for fiscal years 2012 to 2013 under my predecessor. For 2015, the due date was June 30th, and the way we're going to make that was the Government Finance Officers Association is in charge of that saying, you got a 30-day extension, see when we see it.
So,
Perfect.
and if you happen to look at one of those reports and you start comparing opinion, it reads a little bit different. I have to put in 2 more paragraphs when you slap a cap with it, so. Mainly it says, anything John put in there, I don't believe it, so. It's what it's called a disclaimer, yeah, but because you put more, a lot of 10 pages, statistics and an introductory, the opinion always has to say that, we disclaim, or, that's normal. I'm always worried somebody will look at it and go, wait, I got 2 different reports here.
That's the way it is.
Yeah. Keep everybody happy.
Any discussion?
Anything else?
Questions, council discussion at all?
I was down Seymour, boy, they grilled me for a half hour down there.
When things are good, things are good. And seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Any abstentions? Motion carries 8-0. Thank you, Marshall,
Okay,
appreciate it.
thank you.
Thank you, Mr. O'Donnell. On to the next item on the agenda, resolution number 16-R-52, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Republic, Missouri, approving a cost of living adjustment COLA for all full-time and permanent part-time employees. Would like to have a motion.
Motion?
Second.
I have a motion, second. Welcome back, Mr. O'Donnell. Please give us the overview, sir.
It's like I never left, yes. As the exhibit states, we instituted a step and grade increase and a cost of living adjustment, or COLA increase, to take effect every July 1st to simplify how our employees receive their raises and so forth during the year. Once again, we're asking council to approve a COLA increase, and we did things a little bit differently. First off, as you recall, during the budget process, we said that what we were going to do was incorporate into the budgeted salary numbers the 1.5% stepping grade, that's a given, and a 1.5% COLA increase in advance to see whether or not if the financial data would support it, we could automatically say that, yes, it would be very easy for us to do a 1.5 COLA. As I've discussed at previous meetings, especially when I presented the May financial reports, I thought the numbers did support that, still do, and according to the bullet points in the exhibit, the various financial indicators, that also backs up the point that we can easily go ahead and substantiate that COLA increase. Once again, I will caution that this increase is permanent. It will affect future budgets. So we're always wanting to make sure that as we look down the road here, that we take a measured approach every time we consider a COLA increase. Our people are worth it. They work hard. They should receive the fruits of their labors. And so what I wanted to do as well was give council some options here. We know that we can substantiate a 1.5% COLA increase. In the worksheet that was attached to the exhibits, we have a calculation of COLA adjustments showing what-ifs. If we decided to increase the COLA adjustment by either 0.5%, that means a 2% COLA, 1%, which means a total 2.5% COLA, and 1.5%, or a total 3% COLA. And when you take into account what numbers you're looking at here, you've got to take into account of salaries and those payroll expenses affected by salaries, which include payroll taxes and the city's portion of loggers' expense. So long story short, we believe that we can support as much as a 3% COLA if council wishes to go out that far. My point of view has always been to, at minimum, we just have a 1.5% COLA and just keep that in play as long as the financial support it, so that not only can the city, but also its employees can plan ahead with a steady increase year by year. However, we also want to give council options to say, okay, if the number's supported, we can go as high as 3. I would like to get council's temperature on this to determine how much our employees are going to get this year. So I offer you a range of options, and I invite questions, comments, and discussion.
Mr. Flickenberry, questions, comments, or discussion from Mr. O'Donnell?
I have one. Isn't it, I mean, it's just wording, but cost of living is typically associated with a calculation like what Social Security and other benefit people would get. Wouldn't you normally do that kind of in line with what our citizens would get? And then if there were additional, wouldn't you put that on the, like, boost up the step and grade? Because isn't that where you would normally increase pay?
Well, I'd also take into consideration that during the recessionary years, we had salaries that were frozen for a number of years.
But that would be step and grade that would be frozen. COLA you would try to normally follow. I mean, Social Security was frozen for a couple of years. It's been 1.5% for several years. I mean, they have a calculation method for that, and you try to follow it with the economy. I'm not saying we can't support it. I'm all for giving whatever we can. I'm just wondering where we should put it, whether the extra should be on the step and grade rather than on the COLA. And it's just a label, but when you have to go to your citizens and you say COLA, a lot of them, especially seniors, think of that, well, gee, I only got a 1.5% COLA, and the city got 3, and I'm paying their taxes. So it's just maybe for the way that it's presented to the citizens. It's not that I don't think that we need to do the larger number.
And that's a fair point. Again, this is why I wanted to present some options here for council and allow the final decision to be from all of us here.
What's the ramification if you do like 1.5 on the COLA, and then you do an additional 1.5 on the step and grade? How does that affect things as far as future or all that? If you did it that way, wording wise, rather than wording it as COLA for the entire amount.
Please, come on up.
And is this a common terminology for all either government employees or cities that they use a wage increase as COLA? Because to the average citizen, at least that's the way I've always thought of COLA, is for people that are maybe like on a fixed income, and it's calculated off of it's cost of living. So it's calculated off of what like groceries and different things cost. You base that on what an annual cost of living increase would be to keep up with it, like an inflationary type thing. To have a pay raise, which I believe that the employees deserve, I would think that would go under a step and grade type of an issue.
Well, there's 2 separate things we have going on in July 1st. Last year, when we re-implemented the step and grade, we stretched it out from 10 steps to 20 steps. And between each step, we implemented 1.5%, feeling that we could sustain that and the increases would not have to be frozen at any time in the near future. So that if anything, if an employee reaches a satisfactory level on their evaluation, they would at minimum receive a 1.5% step increase, okay? With that agreement, we stated we would come back to City Council every year for a COLA increase based on cost of living, and the council could approve any cost of living increase they wanted to add on to the step and grade in addition to that 1.5 on the step and grade. We wanted to keep the step and grade at a point where the employees know that it is 1.5% per step and it is sustainable. If we start continuing going back and forth on the step and grade, going from 1.5 to 3% and moving it back and forth, then we're constantly messing with our pay grade scale.
So
And when we stretched it out to 20 steps, that allowed some people to be on that step longer before they maxed out. So the COLA, at that time, we were hoping that when we came back, and if any more above the 1.5 was to be given, it would be given on the COLA side and not the step and grade side.
So let's say council wanted to do an extra 1.5%. We couldn't just say, let's give them 1.5% on COLA and then boost everybody 2 step and grades instead of 1 this year. Does that cause other issues, or?
It
Cause
does
issues
cause
down the
issues.
line.
It
Causes
causes
issues
issues
down the
with
line,
people
okay.
coming in and with promotions internally, because then you've got to, when you promote, they're guaranteed a minimum percentage of increase, and then they're flying up steps, and then they're
Sure.
increasing to the top, and then they have nowhere to go. We really have to we've worked hard to kind of balance this out. The years for pay was at a standstill, and we've
Sure.
really worked hard to put everybody back to where they were so everybody can move in rhythm again and count on that step and grade, that step increase yearly.
Well, like I mentioned, I have no problem with it. I think they deserve it. I like the higher amount. My only thing was the terminology of how we're putting it as COLA and presenting that to citizens. So I appreciate you explaining that.
And to your point, Mr. Clinkenbeard, it's 1.5 and 1.5. So really, the COLA's 1.5, step and grade's the other 1.5. Is that correct? So really, to your point earlier about the city's getting a 3%, but I got a 1.5. It's really a 1.5 to 1.5. If you
Sure.
want to look at it that way, apples to apples. Mr. Wilson, go ahead. I think you had the next question, sir.
What's the nutrition rate for the city right now?
I knew this was going to come up. I said that the attrition rate right now is 35%.
Do you have any?
I'm sorry.
Do you have any reason why it's so high?
We
You
have some ideas. We have some that when they're going to a bigger city, they're going because there's an increase in retirement and loggers. On that aspect, that is just at a level we can't get to right now. If they're leaving to go to Springfield, we can't compete with that. On an hourly wage, we are pretty competitive. We did a salary survey, and we're right where we should be. People are varying on leaving for different reasons. Some are taking increases in pay, some are getting, just better opportunities. But we are at what I feel is an extremely high attrition rate right now. I've kind of been waving that flag for a while.
you interview
We have started
people.
taking back, we are doing exit interviews now, trying to find out and pinpoint reasons that employees are leaving the city. We have started that back up again, yes, and we will continue to do so.
What's their main reasons? The ones that you have interviewed.
Well, I'm going to be honest with you, it depends on the department. We have 2 officers that are leaving right now in the police department, and they're going to a sheriff's department. The reason they just feel more comfortable in a county than they do in a municipality.
Those are lateral pay moves.
Those are lateral pay moves. We've got firefighters that are leaving, if they're going to a bigger fire district or a bigger fire department, again, is it more money, Wayne? It's retirement. We do hear that a lot, it is retirement.
How much of it's opportunity, you think? Opportunity to grow and excel, or?
There is some of that, in the smaller departments, if they're individualized and specialized there is nowhere to go. There is nowhere for them to go, unless they leave that department. But again, if you're specialized in planning, you're pretty much sectored into planning, unless you have a specialty skill that you can go anywhere across the city. Most of your opportunities in a city to move department to department are going to be in an administrative role and not a specific job role. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Is any of it that we're in that sweet spot that may be somewhat bad for us, but that we're at the city size we are, we can provide a lot of training and opportunities to where people are ready to maybe step up to another level that we can't provide, like leadership or something, where a bigger city might. And so we're basically becoming the training ground. You know, when you get bigger, you don't have to worry about people poaching from you, but, I mean, that's a big thing when you're at middle. When you're at the bottom, people don't poach. When you're in the middle, that high level poaches from you because you're good enough to train people.
I think that's definitely an issue in our police department. I think that the police is just always going to be one where we are going to see a revolving door. Hopefully, we thought we had it slowed down, and then all of a sudden it picked back up and just did a complete circle again. You just don't know. We do have training opportunities. Again, that goes to budgetary restrictions as well on what we can afford to do. We can do some in-house training, but for like to get somebody ready for a supervisory or management position, they're really going to need to get some outside training on that, as well as some in-house training. But you start to put them in those roles, and they want to know that they're going to be able to progress soon, and there's going to be an opportunity within the organization.
Mr. Harder, go ahead.
You said you've been watching this attrition at 35%. What has been passed, and what do you consider the norm for this size?
Well, you really never want to have over a 10% attrition rate. 10% is what you want to work for. I was watching it last fall, and I was starting to get nervous when we were at 25% going into the fall, going into budget. And it has just, we've picked up speed coming into 2016. And that is just January through, that was about the end of May, middle, and we're at 35%.
Thank you.
That's in 5 months.
Mr. Wilson, I get to Mr. Mendez.
Speaking of loggers, how far down the road do you think before we would be able to increase that?
I will tell you that has been very close on my radar. It's something that I think needs to be considered fairly soon. Jared and I did meet with the loggers representative last month when they came down to speak with employees regarding their retirement, and we did ask for 2 options. We asked for the options of employees being able to cease their contributions. Currently, employees contribute 4% post-tax to their benefits or their retirement, and the city contributes the remaining. That percentage for the general population of the city is 8.4%, slightly higher for police and fire. So you can guesstimate around 12% gross salary goes to retirement. If we were to cease contributions, having the employee contribute their 4%, they would see a 4% net increase in their net check because that is taken out post-tax. So they would automatically see a 4% net increase. To the city, it would be a 3.9% increase on what they contribute. As if we cease the employee's contribution. If we go up a level from an L3 to an L7, correct? Is that what?
L7 would be the next available.
L7 is the next available. It goes up right at 3.9.
Yeah.
It's right at 4, but it's a little bit higher in premium because when we initiated loggers, we went into a buyback of time for employees. So every time we increase the level, which we're at 1.25, if we go up to 1.5, that 1.5 is applied all the way back to buyback time on employees. See, so that increase goes back, and that's where the premium increases.
To put numbers to percentages, if you were to take away the employee contribution or if you were to go up into the next level, loggers has indicated we're going to be in for a slight uptick next time around, but we're at roughly $250,000 a year. To take away the contribution by the employees or to go up to the next level, that's the cost of it, 4%, so 3.9%, 4%.
Did that
But
make
it is,
sense, Gary?
yeah, but it is something that you are considering.
It is something that I have voiced my opinion on that we need to consider. I believe we need to either consider, now when Jared and I did speak, we did ask how many municipalities have employees contribute. We were kind of taken back that 60% do not contribute. That's correct, right? 60% do not contribute to loggers, 40% do. I think either way, if the city could make an adjustment to loggers, the employees are very appreciative of that. They are watching that. I've kind of been on a campaign to educate employees about loggers and how it affects them in retirement, how important it is, how it comes out on it.
So how much would the cost be to the city for increasing that next level? You may have already said that.
It's about 4%,
$250,000.
$250,000.
Wouldn't it be to our advantage to try to go ahead and implement that sooner than later?
A change in loggers?
Yes.
Okay, so a change in log, there are two different ways to look at that. The contributions that the employees make, we can change at any time. So if council were to decide tonight, we want to vote that, contributions on the employees' part stopped, we can stop it. That can go into effect in July, that's not a problem. If we want to go up a level and you want to have employees still contribute, those changes can only be made once every 2 years, so that change we would have to submit in October to be effective in January 2017 because we just made an increase in 2015. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So we could either cease the contributions and we can do that any time, or if you want to go up a level, where it goes from 1.25 to 1.50, we can do that. We have to submit that, but it will not be effective until January 2017.
Okay.
Well, wouldn't that be the better bet, though, to give them a better chance of more retirement?
By increasing a level or ceasing their contribution?
Increasing a level.
Increasing a level.
I'm going to be honest with you. I'm sorry.
Participation's low.
Your participation is low right now. In loggers, they don't have a choice. In 6 months, they have to go into it. After being employed 6 months, you have to go into it. I think, Gary, on that, you're gonna split hairs on that because your younger workers, that 4% net in their check is a lot of money. Okay. And so then if you increase it, I see what you're saying, that's putting more in their retirement, but they want to see that 4% in their net take home because it doesn't affect what they're going to be able to withdraw on retirement because the city's going to pick up the 4%. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Just one more and I'll... Okay, if you increased it one level, and they did not contribute, what would that cost us? What would that?
Well, now, we didn't even go down that. That
Like
was-
$250,000
For each. Can you repeat the question?
If you did both, it'd be $500,000.
Oh, if you were to pick up,
If you go to level 7
right,
and drop their contribution,
are you
Well,
going to pick up their portion of it?
yeah,
Of that $500,000?
so that'd be 500, and it's costing us 500 right now.
Sustain that.
Yeah, on the loggers right now, it's 500.
We're at an L3, that's correct,
So
right?
you would pick up
So
another
it'd
half
be,
million.
it would cost the city from $500,000 to $1 million a year.
Correct. Correct.
And is that something the city could sustain?
I think you would have to look at that come budgetary times, but as of right now, that would be really tough.
What's the value, is that a pretty significant benefit to the employee? Is that a game changer, that extra $500,000?
You would have, I'm just gonna tell you, you go to level 7 and you take the contributions, you're gonna have several hit the road. You're gonna have several retire. And every time, that is partial, I will tell you why our rates are increasing this next year. When we increased that level, we had several employees that took retirement and left.
Okay, because it was retroactive.
It was retroactive, so every
Then
time you
buyback.
increase the level, it goes all the way back to day one. So that benefited, I can tell you, we have one employee still working, and he came to me and he said, Angela, that change you made just in that one level increased my retirement $500 a month. You increase it again another level, he's easily going to go up another 500, probably closer to 700-800. and I do think you would have some more, which does affect your rate.
So,
I just want you to be aware. I'm not saying going up a level is a bad thing. I think you will have some people that will see that as a positive, but they will go ahead and work that day past when it goes into effect and then maybe retire.
this seems like to me then you're caught in a double negative here. You're trying to get to where people don't leave because Springfield offers better retirement as another city is, but if you do it, you're gonna have people leave. I mean, at some point, you're gonna have to figure out how to balance that out, right?
My opinion on the loggers, that I would take the contribution to where the employee didn't have to make the 4% contribution, because that's 4% in their net, and they're gonna see it as a positive,
That affects everyone.
and it affects everyone.
The 1.5%, I closed down the numbers in front of me. What is the one, if we did 1.5% today, what was the annual amount of that?
90,000.
90,000. So if instead of doing that, we dropped the 4% at 250, we're basically at 140,000 differential. Am I looking at that correct?
Are you looking at these two separate discussions?
Yeah,
They've gotta be
Because
two
my-
separate discussions, because COLA's
Yeah.
over here and loggers over here.
The only
Right.
Yeah, but it creates a 4% increase immediately to everybody, which is a lot better than 1.5%.
No, we can't get none.
The only question I have on the cost of living is, normally when you're determining cost of living, there's research to back it up. What research did we do to come up with the 1.5%?
The standard cost of living is just 1.5% right now, and we had budgeted to give the employees a minimum of 1.5% cost of living going
So
forward.
that's an annual,
That's an annual. Every
Okay, so that's
employee goes
based
through
on-
a review,
okay.
and so we said they would, along with their step and grade, we would come back and present any COLA increases to council, and they could determine what, if any, cost of living adjustments would be made.
Okay.
We budgeted for a 1.5% minimum. We are just presenting other options for council to consider.
Which are still viable within the budget. I wouldn't go past 3% personally, I feel.
Which is the 1.5, right?
Which is plus 1.5, 3% COLA, so.
Okay, that answers my question.
Is
Thank
the
you.
law, is the logger state, cut,
I'm sorry, what?
is the loggers discussion really a budgetary discussion?
That's an absolute yes.
Loggers
Yes.
would be a budgetary
So let me-
discussion,
Let's
yes.
just focus in where we are. The loggers discussion is gonna be a budgetary discussion in about 4 months, 5 months. So keep that in the back of your mind, the information that you were given, so.
So that
I
will
was
be a
bringing that up
budgetary
to
discussion
plant
item?
the seed.
Well, plant the seed, that's fine. We're gonna have that discussion again.
And I
Yes,
will
sir.
make sure. that-
So this will be an item we discuss next budget.
You're the one with the golden parachute.
Okay.
January 2nd. No, no.
Thank you.
Okay.
That answers my
Does that help?
question. So, yeah.
We have already requested one report from loggers, we're gonna request another report from loggers. We will have that information before you come budget time.
Correct.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you for the explanation, both of you. Appreciate it.
I'll make a motion for the 1.5% COLA increase.
Which would mean 3%, right?
And the
Correct.
$90,000, I'll
Yeah.
second that.
I have a motion and a second for 1.5 on the COLA. Any discussion on that?
Does that include the 1.5% on
Step and grade, yes, a total of
If
3.
it included, you had to choose the COLA.
So we're talking 4.5% gross?
No,
No.
we're talking 3 total.
3% total.
Oh, so you're saying 1.5% COLA and
Okay,
1.5%?
let's define
Wait
the
a
terms.
minute.
What we already have on the table is 1.5 step and grade, 1.5 COLA, that's already set. How much over that 1.5 COLA do you want to go?
So right now, we're at 3 total.
Yes, 1.5.
As budgeted, correct.
No, but I want to clarify, so everybody understands, are you saying that with his motion to go 1.5, we're now at 3% COLA?
That's the way this document, I see it
That's
reading.
the way that
Okay,
it is
is
on
that
this sheet.
your understanding of what
That's the
you
way
were
I
doing?
saw it read too.
So,
Mr.
we're
Bashir,
talking
I think
COLA.
you...
3% COLA.
3% COLA,
Total.
and then if you add the step and grade in, I guess that's where
4.5
Brashears is talking about 4.5.
Okay, so
Just want to make everybody sure it's
4.5
clear.
grand total.
Correct.
COLA gathering?
That's my understanding.
Just make sure we're on the same page.
And that's
Thank you, Ron.
this 90,000 that you said was sustainable, correct?
Yes,
Okay.
That covers the step and grade too?
yes.
Okay.
Well, this 3% does not.
Okay, remember, the three, what we put up
Okay.
is the COLA adjustment, which is COLA, okay.
So let me,
The step and grade is 1.5%, that's set in stone, that's already budgeted,
okay,
okay? There.
right, I'm with you,
Okay.
I'm with you.
So what council is looking to do is say, we're going to give the employees 1.5 step in grade and a total 3% COLA increase, grand total 4.5%.
Okay, I'm with you, and the 90,000 is that
Is what
3%. It's just the COLA portion,
Just the COLA portion.
because we already budgeted the other portion.
Correct.
And, I'm with you,
Yes.
okay. I was just thinking they were together, but I'm with you now.
The impact is
That's why I took pains up at the heading up top, is the plus is the increment, and then the total amount is the COLA total.
Okay, I gotta clarify. We've gotta fill in a blank on the resolutions. Do we put 3% in there, or do we put 1.5%?
3%.
Okay.
Okay.
I was gonna say, the motion will put 3% in the blank, how's,
There
will that
we
work?
go.
Okay.
In the second
You
sentence,
still seconding
okay.
that?
The problem is that you have a motion and a second on the
Yeah,
table.
your seconder has to agree to your amendment to your motion.
If that's or, you vote on it.
I was just
drop.
clarifying it, but who's my seconder? Was it
Mr.
Mr.
Mendez,
Mendez?
second.
That was your second?
Are you good with it?
Yeah, I second.
Okay.
No.
Second the
He-
Listen again.
He made a motion for 1.5%, but my understanding is what we need to fill in this
Correct.
resolution is a total of 3%.
Correct.
And so he needs to,
We knew
he's
what we
amending it to
we were
3
wanting to
rather than
do, but we're
1.5.
just clarifying that the number that goes in the blank will be 3%.
Okay, then I second your amendment.
Okay.
Okay, now we're good.
For the change.
Yes.
Okay. Right now, you guys are killing me.
Sorry for the confusion.
With the far right column, let's just say the far.
Yeah, all right, Colin. I have a motion and a second to add 3% into the document under section 1 for that particular area. So motion second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Any abstentions? Okay, that motion carries. Now, what's in front of you now is a complete document with all that information in it. Further discussion, comments, or questions? Everybody on the same page?
Who gets to deliver the great news?
I would gladly take that.
We'll be happy to
Email
do that
blast.
tomorrow.
But Jared's gonna go, look what I did on the way
No,
out.
no, no. I'll give you guys all the credit.
Problem is, Mr. McBride, you haven't voted on it yet.
Yeah.
So you might want to hold that until you get done with it. All right, any further discussion, comments, or questions?
We can add that as an amendment too.
All right. Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Any abstentions? Motion carries. Thank you very much. Thank you. Appreciate it. We'll move on to the next item. Resolution number 16-R-53, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Republic, Missouri, authorizing the extension of a license agreement with the Southwest Missouri Office on Aging, SMOA, for services at the Republic Senior Friendship Center. Would like to have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
A motion and a second. Okay, Mr. Killing?
Need a clarification. The agenda item varies just a little bit from what the heading on the resolution says. The resolution, because they've had a change in name, and so we need to
I'll reread it if you like.
reread- Yes, that'd be
I will
great.
reread that, and then I will get the same motion again. We'll just start over on that item. The resolution of the City Council of the City of Republic, Missouri, authorizing the extension of a license agreement with the Senior Age Area Agency on Aging, FKA Southwest Missouri Office on Aging, SMOA, for services of the Republic Senior Friendship Center. Got it?
Formerly known as.
Formerly known as
FKA.
FKA. Need a motion?
Motion.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All right, Mr. Keeling, you want to?
This is
Just
just
over on this
our annual agreement with formerly known as Southwest Missouri Office of Aging, now known as Senior Age Area Agency on Aging. They operate the daily operations out of the Republic Senior Friendship Center, continue to do a good job over there. No issues at all with the ongoing lease, and I would highly recommend it.
Okay. Questions, comments, discussion? Anything at all?
Former problems have been rectified.
Correct. The problems were actually with the board, but they have been rectified, correct.
Anything at all? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Any abstentions? Motion carries. On to the next item. Resolution number 16-R-54, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Republic, Missouri, authorizing the interim city administrator to enter into an agreement with Midwest Public Risk NPR for property and liability insurance for 2016/2017. Like to have a motion?
Motion. Second.
A motion and a second. Mr. Keeley, give us the overview, sir.
Sure. At this time, I would like to introduce Mr. Steve Whiteman. Steve is here tonight on behalf of Arthur J. Gallagher and Company. Steve does a representation and does our bidding for our general liability insurance. He's going to get an overview of the bidding process, and then I can chime back in on our recommendation. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. White. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So thank you all for the opportunity to be here. I really appreciate it. So before you got a packet that just talks about your liability and property insurance, and I prepared just a little bit of a document so you can all kind of see where we are and make sure we're on the same page, but also see where we are from a marketing basically where we are when we marketed the city. So the first page you have, when you open it up in front of you, you'll see just some graphs there, but you'll see the expiring program cost, and then the recommended renewal program cost. So it's just going to be that's going to be just a premium overview that's going to include both the premium in the insurance you're paying, as well as what we think your projected losses are going to be. So the projected losses are going to play a bit of a role in our decision. The next page is just a summary. So an overview of where we've taken the marketing with the city is 2 years ago. We did a full market of the city, so you were with NPR 2 years ago. So then again, 2 years ago, we went out to about 7 carriers on your behalf to take a look at who had the most competitive bid, best coverages, and NPR won quite by a decent margin from everything. I believe we got 4 actual quotes. We had some pretty high standards for the people that were actually going to bid, but I believe 4 quoted. And again, with NPR, they came in and did a very good job. We came in and actually did a higher deductible, and I'll explain that to you in just a little bit on kind of where we ended up from a financial standpoint. But they have been a very good partner for the city. They offer a lot of great services by being a pool. We at Gallagher, as your broker, we're quite fond of pools, so they've done very well there. The renewal overview on the next page, this is going to have, basically it's going to have your 4 options that we have this year. And to go back on what I said earlier, so 2 years ago we did a full market review, and typically what we would do is when we go out to the market, we're not going to go out to everybody every year, because when you do that, a lot of people will decline. So you might have some changes in the city that make it an ideal year for you to switch carriers. We do that all the time to get you the best premiums possible. But what we did is we picked the second best carrier that bid last year and said, look, give us your best shot. We'll have you be the only one to give a quote this year, except the incumbent. Give us your best shot and see what you can do for the city. So that's one beacon. Government risk is the department that quoted. So you'll see here an overview of these. So we also provided, when I spoke with the city administrator earlier on in the year, when we wanted to come up with an objective for the city, we wanted to see both what the carriers could provide, but we also wanted to get you a quote for a high deductible as well as a low deductible. So for all years past, you've been on a low deductible, basically meaning you're only paying the first $1,000, $5,000 of any claim. Last year, we did move you to a $25,000 deductible with NPR's quote. That made a lot of sense, and I can show you all in just a little bit how that did. You came about $3,500. You saved about $3,500 by doing that last year, but there was some developments. So the next page, and I apologize, it's just a really huge graph. This is going to have everything before you. So it's going to have deductibles by line. It's going to have the premiums per line broken out. And of course, on the top, you'll see the first column is your current program. So it's with NPR with a $25,000 deductible for every line. So that would be property, general liability, employment practices, auto. All of that would be a flat $25,000 deductible. And then the next one is the NPR, the low deductible. That's the one I'm going to recommend to you today. NPR high deductible is the next column there, the middle one. And that would be the exact same as expiring. There's a little bit of change. We think you can save a little bit the way NPR rated you this year to go back to the low deductible. And then the next two you'll be able to see one beacon, both the low and the high deductible options. So if we go reverse a page, the overview renewal options. On that green graph where it has the recommended the NPR low deductible, you'll be able to see a breakout of the premiums. So $182, $206, $87 is the premium for that NPR low deductible. The projected losses, we do a lot of analysis with your losses, so we'll take a look at all your past claims for the last 5 or so years, and we put them in what are projections if you had certain deductible levels. So we think that under that case, or under that scenario, and they're pretty good deductibles, they're about $1,000 for most things, $5,000 for a few others. But we think the city is only going to pay an additional about $7,500 of actual claims. And then that is, of course, on the far right column, that's going to be explained in your projected program cost. So total, we don't just give premium numbers, although the premium numbers is what you're actually going to pay for. We also want to put in what your projected losses will be, because that has in effect to do, that affects the whole cost of the program. So that is it. The rest of this page just shows you what your current program is. So in case you had any questions, who's my carrier, what's our deductible, what's our limit of insurance, that's all going to be on the last few pages. I'd be more than happy to answer any questions about that. But I think that concludes us as your broker. We'd like to come in and recommend NPR with their low deductible or first dollar program.
Questions, comments, discussion, Mr. White? Mr. Clickenberry?
It looks like when you look at the premiums that it's one direction, but when you take all the numbers of our actual losses and stuff, that's what puts NPR back in the lead. Is that
it is,
what I'm seeing?
yes, sir. So your premium
it shows the premium. If someone was just looking at premium cost, you look and say, man, you should go a different direction. But it's good that you guys have all those analytics to be able to see what your real cost of ownership would be. So
it makes us a little nerdy, but yes.
I appreciate that, though. Because that's the way to do it.
Yeah, sure.
It's like being an actuary or something. All right, thank you.
Oh, my pleasure. Any other questions?
Additional questions, comments, discussion, Mr. White?
If I may, real quick, I think the big decision as far as staff was weighing one way or the other was the high deductible versus low deductible. Remember last year we moved to the $25K high deductible. If you run the numbers this year, I would say this year I'm in for 15, 16, the one that gets ready to close out the end of June. We do have a couple pending out there, a couple of potential claims pending out there, but we would have been better off with a low deductible in 15, 16. And that was with a premium difference last year of $35,201. The premium difference this year between the two plans is only $23,630. So you could really make the argument that's only one major thing from covering that amount of change. So, I really think the low deductible plan is the way to go. Just on a side note, the last time we were on the low deductible plan, the premium was $186,989. That was 2 years ago. As you can see, the premium for this year is $182. So it's nice to see we actually dropped a little bit there.
Additional questions, comments, discussion? That's all.
This was budgeted?
Budgeted, correct. Now, we did actually budget for the high premium. We put in a budget number of 165-ish. It's going to represent I can't remember the exact math percent increase, but that is spread out over across the funds, and we'll be able to absorb that cost.
Absorb it from the payments you make on
Correct.
different costs. Sure. Thank you.
Additional questions, comments, discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Any abstentions? Motion carries 8-0. Thank you, Mr. Whiteman.
Thank you all.
Appreciate your participation. All right, that concludes our open session business. Next, I'd like a motion to go into executive session under RSMO 610.021.1 and RSMO 610.021.3.
Motion. Second.
Roll call vote.
Councilmember Clinkenbeard,
Aye.
Councilmember Wilson,
Aye.
Councilmember Jones,
Aye.
Councilmember Brashear,
Aye.
Councilmember Harder,
Aye.
Councilmember Mendez.
Aye.
Councilmember Poole. Aye. Councilmember Smith.
Aye.
Motion carries. Take a 5-minute recess. That concludes open business. Thank you very much.